Our story today is called Blinded by the Light. But first of all, let's call up Dave the dog to join us. Dave, hello.
All right, how am you?
Oh yeah, how you doing? All right.
I'm good, me.
Good.
How am you?
Hey, your hair looks nice today. You had it cut or trimmed or something?
I went to the dog groomers.
Did you? Wow, he looks nice.
Have
Well
to go
done.
and keep looking my best.
Are you ready for the story then?
Always.
Right, we've got a new guy we're going to talk about in this story. It's called Blinded by the Light, and it involves a guy called Paul.
Was he singing?
No, he wasn't singing, actually, no. Paul was on his way to a place called Damascus. Now, Paul, let me just tell you about him. He's not a very nice person. He doesn't like Christians. He doesn't like people who are friends with Jesus. They're not his friends.
Does he like dogs?
I don't know, but he particularly doesn't like Christians. And what he does is he actually puts them in prison. He takes them and puts them in chains and puts them in prison because he doesn't like them. They're not his friends.
That's not good.
It's not very nice at all, is he? And so
He needs a timeout.
He does. So all the Christians and all the people who are friends with Jesus are frightened of him. They're quite worried when they see him. They run away and hide because he was very powerful and he could put them in prison.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, exactly. So one day he thought he's on a real mission to get some more Christians in prison. And so he's on his way with his friends. And suddenly there's this shining light from the sky. And he's so shocked, he falls to the ground.
Just checking for a blinding light.
No, and he fell to the ground, and his friends were a bit like shocked, what's going on? And suddenly there was this voice from the sky. Ow! Did you say?
Oh, when he fell.
Oh yeah. I don't know if he hurt himself, but he did go fast.
Was that the voice?
I think he was less worried about the ground than this voice from heaven.
Fair enough.
And the voice called him by name. Imagine that you heard this voice from the sky and it said, Dave, Dave, Dave.
What? You were? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Who wants us? Who's calling?
Well, he wasn't calling you. He was calling Paul. And Paul was like, whoa, man. And he said, who are you? He didn't know who it was. And he says, I am Jesus, and you have been upsetting all my friends. And I'm not happy about that. Why?
Jesus is a nice guy, him.
Yeah, he says, look, why have you been hurting my friends? So
was it the friends of Jesus that Paul fell on?
He just fell on the ground. There was no Christians around because wherever Paul was, they were hiding, weren't they? They wouldn't have showed their face because Paul wasn't very nice, was it?
That makes sense, that.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So he's obviously with his friends who aren't Christians. And anyway, so this voice, who is Jesus, says, right, you go to Damascus and wait there and I'll give you further instructions.
Did he take a taxi?
No. Well, what happened was he opened his eyes and he couldn't see. So this light had blinded him. He was blinded by the light.
That's not good.
Not good. No, couldn't see a thing, which was a bit worrying. But his friends helped him to get up and get over to Damascus. That was good, wasn't it? He had some help from his friends.
Good to have friends.
It is, isn't it?
Or a guide dog.
Yeah, a guide dog would do. Yeah, they help people who can't see, don't they? That's really good.
Them friendly dogs, them.
They are. They're lovely dogs. Well, he had his friends to help him, got to Damascus, and he waited there. And he was actually blind for 3 whole days. 3 days.
Good job we were all 4 because I can't count to 4. I can only count to 3. 1, 2, 3.
3 days. And also, he didn't eat or drink for those 3 days because I think he was in shock.
Yeah, well.
He didn't eat or drink.
I can't go more than an hour without some food.
I know. 3 days without food, without drink. Oh, imagine it. Well,
I'd rather not.
Rather not. In the meantime, whilst he's there in Damascus waiting for these further instructions from Jesus, there's a guy called Ananias, and he is a Christian. And Jesus says, right, I want you to go to Straight Street.
Next to Curve Street, up the road from Triangle Avenue.
It's a funny name, isn't it? Maybe it was a straight street. And he had to go there. And he said to him, I want you to go and see this guy called Paul, and I want you to touch him and make him better. And then
was he a doctor?
Well, no, he had special powers that Jesus gave him.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a miracle again. You just wait and find out what happens. But But do you know what Ananias said? He said to Jesus, hang on a minute.
We're here again, where you asking me about the story and I don't know what it is.
I know. Well, what happened was Ananias didn't want to go. He says, I've heard about this Paul. I've heard all the terrible things he's done, and I'm a Christian, and I'm a bit worried about this. But Jesus says, no, I want you to go. So he was obedient. He did what Jesus told him to do.
Good man.
And he went all the way to Damascus to see, and Paul was there. And
Did he take a taxi?
I think they always walked everywhere in those days. Either walked or I don't know if they might have been on a camel because it was a hot country, so maybe they had camels. But I think he walked, to be honest. So it would have taken a while. He got there and he put his hand on what's his name, Paul, and Paul was instantly healed. Boom! His eyes could see.
Must have had a coffee that annoys.
He must have had a what?
A coffee like that, fast angel.
And then all these like scales fell down in front of Paul's eyes, and he could, weird.
That's
isn't
a bit odd.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? And then his eyes could see again, which was amazing. So yeah, Ananias was very brave to go and see this man who wasn't a very nice person, but he became blind and saw again, and basically he became a friend of Jesus. He became a friend of Ananias. He became a Christian.
That's cool, that.
Yeah, so he was a nice person, and he was friends.
And he had a dog.
And I don't know if they had dogs back then.
Just
They didn't mention a dog. But yeah, imagine that. So one time he was really horrible, and then he has this big light, a voice from Jesus, and he becomes a nice person. And he's being friend. What are you looking for?
I don't want to change my name. I like Dave.
You don't want to change your name? No.
I don't want to be naughty and have lights.
Lights? No. That sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? But it doesn't say that Paul was scared. It was just, I don't know. It doesn't say much about it. I guess he must have been scared, mustn't he? Yeah.
I would have thought so.
I would have thought so. So what do you think of that then? Paul, 1 minute, well, not 1 minute, 3 days it took. One day he's a horrible person.
2, 3.
That's it. And 3 days later, he's a nice person.
I thought you were setting me up to count again.
What do you think of that story then, Dave?
Don't know what to think.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? It's 1 minute. People can change though, can't they? Have you got friends who've changed?
Ah.
Who?
My mate changes his hat every morning.
He wears a hat, does he?
And he changes his hat as a different dog.
Does he look different, does he? Does he act different?
Yes.
When he's got a different hat on. Actually, funny you should say that, because hats do change people, don't they? If you had a police hat on, you'd be a policeman, wouldn't you? And if you had
he has a policeman's hat.
Does he act like a policeman?
Ah. And then he puts on a baseball cap sideways.
Does he look cool?
No. Doesn't his policeman's hat?
Does he? Oh.
He's a police dog.
Is he all authoritative? Like all tells you what to do?
Oh, well, he's a police dog.
Oh, he is a police dog,
he's
for real?
He's a bit bossy.
Bossy. Ah. Do you do what he tells you to do?
Yes. Got teeth in a bark.
Oh, right,
his bite's worse than his bark.
Brilliant. Sounds like you've got some great friends. Just like Paul now has got some great friends. Well, thank you for joining us, Dave. See you next time, yeah?
Oh, to roll a bit.
Bye for now. And that's story time.